This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, so I'd like to welcome Wendy Perry, who's been doing RLD now for a good few months and has recently started having referrals from the local lymphedema clinic. And I thought it'd be really helpful that we could share some of Wendy's story to how she's getting the referrals and how she's done so well using this protocol in her practice. So over to you, Wendy.
Hi,
over
Sally,
to you.
and everybody else who's listening. So basically, I've been working my RLD on clients since it's almost a year in August. And once I started my RLD, I just knew that this was going to change a lot of lives. So as I was doing people and they were mentioning the lymphedema clinic, and I was collecting all this evidence that's, they basically do nothing for them apart from the stockings, and sometimes they will use a machine, but they can only do it once and then they don't see them for another 6 months. So I was collecting everything, all these things that people were telling me, and a lot of the ladies that I was having were ready to go to see their lymphedema nurse at the clinic. So I thought, this is a way of actually showing the lymphedema clinic that I'm out here and I'm there to help people. So what I started to do was every client, when we'd done the measurements and before and afterwards, I always do the measurements because I think that it shows, it's a different mindset for people then, that they can see that, and to take photographs. If they don't want to be measured, then that's fine, but I do like to do that. And then I come home and I make them a graph. So then we can see it, and I show them the graph every time they come. So I had one particular lady who'd had breast cancer, and she had swelling of her arm. So we measured it and we tried lots of things, and she said, I'm going to a lymphedema clinic. I've still not got an appointment through. So her base measurements were, a baseline was like, it was almost 4,000 mil. It was a lot of fluid in her arm. And after 6 treatments with me, we'd got it down to like 2,000, which was unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, that's fantastic.
Oh, it was, and she was just over the moon with it. And she'd had breast cancer 35 years ago, and it had only just come.
Yeah, so there's a lifetime risk of developing edema once lymph nodes have been removed. But if we just rewind there, put that back into context, that's approximately 2 litres of fluid.
Yeah, and that's right.
Think about the weight of that. That's 8 bottles of it's
unbelievable.
Not. 4 bottles of water.
Yep.
4 bottles.
She actually tried a blouse on because she had to buy clothing that was extra big for her, just for the sleeve.
Yeah.
And she tried, and she had one of these blouses on, and I said to her, you know the blouse that you had on when I first came? She said, yeah. I said, have you still got it? She said, yeah. I said, put it on and let's see. And it was baggy on her, really, really baggy on her.
Yeah.
And she said, you wouldn't believe, I've had to change my wardrobe again. She said, not that I'm complaining, but that was a massive for me. And I just thought, wow, it blew me away. So I said to her, when you go to the lymphedema clinic, take this graph with you. I printed it out for her and I attached one of my business cards. So she said, I will, I'm going next week. And then on the Friday evening, she called me and she said, I just thought I'd let you know that the lymphedema nurse was blown away. So I said, really? So she said she couldn't believe what had happened, and that she'd had a couple of other ladies in saying that they'd been to see a reflexologist and not mentioned reflex lymph draining.
Yes.
So she just thought they'd gone for some reflexology. So she said, but I've given your number, and she said she's going to give you a call. So I said, okay. And then every week I was getting calls saying, your number's been passed on to me by the lymphoedema clinic. Can I book an appointment? So I said, yeah, of course you can. So these ladies were coming in, and they'd obviously gone back to clinic, and they've seen the results again. So last Wednesday, I was in clinic. I had a spare hour, and my phone rang, and it was this nurse, and she just said, I just wanted to, say hello. We're over at the lymphedema clinic. So she said, and I'm panicking because I keep referring all these patients to you, and I'm worried that we're bogging you down. So I said, you're never going to bog me down.
No.
So she said, well, I'd love to meet you one day. So I said, well, look, I've got a spare hour now. Are you busy? So she said, pop over for a coffee. So I went over, they let me in, and I was like, God. She was like, come in, sit down. She said, we've been dying to meet you. So I then went into everything that you taught me. I gave them your website address so that they could look at the research, the thermal imaging. I wanted them to see that it had all been done properly. And she just said, wow, she was absolutely blown away. So she said, last week, she works in the hospital and obviously in clinics, the consultant had mentioned my name, but he called me Wendy Peg. There's a lady called Wendy Peg. So she said, it's the same lady. She said, and it's not reflexology, it's lymph drain, it's reflex lymph draining. So he said, well, we perhaps need to have a word with her. So she said, so it was just mind-blowing. She said, your name is being scattered about. Brilliant. She said, because a friend of hers who'd had knee surgery I'd been to visit him, and we'd reduced this swelling on his knee so he could start his physio. So she said, so you're in little pockets all over the hospital of people saying, oh, well, I know this reflexologist. So I said, wow. So she said, so are we okay to keep referring? She said, because where I am in Oldham, there's lots of different clinics. So she said, am I all right to pass your number to each of the clinics? So I said, of course you are.
Yeah.
So I said to her, and if you ever want me to come in, you can do some measuring, and I'll go in a room, I'll do the reflexology, lymph draining, and then you can come back in and remeasure. So she said, I'd love to do that. So she said, but we don't need to do that. She said, because we've seen the results. She asked me how I measured. She asked me how I got the volume. So I showed her the app that I've got, and also that I'm a member now of British Lymph Society, and I'm always learning about it all the time. And she said, wow, she said, you really are very good at this. She said, and I can't believe that this is happening. She said, I wish that the NHS could provide it.
Yeah.
I really do, because all we can do is offer them stock-ins and say, we'll see you in 6 months. She said, and it breaks my heart. Yeah. She said, as a nurse, because I'm not doing anything for them.
Yeah. I mean, this is a common theme. I mean, lymphedema services, they're doing their best, but it's a bit of a postcode lottery throughout the UK. Yeah. Some of my clients only get one appointment a year. They just get remeasured for stocking, and that's it.
Yeah.
So the fact that you are gathering the data and doing the measuring supports the work, because it shows that it's not something else that's doing that. It's not something that the clients and patients are doing. But I'm also really pleased because when they have their area meetings and their group meetings, hopefully they'll tell each other, and that, because generally, I would say the BLS and the LSN, so British Lymphology Society and the Lymphoedema Support Network, are aware of the work.
Yes.
Because my colleague Judith Watley, who's the researcher and lead researcher from the university, she's presented at both these conferences. And for the consultant too, the only other consultant story that I had was one of the participants who took part in the second research study where we did it at 3 different centres. She lived too far away from where we are there wasn't anybody near her. She didn't mind travelling to take part in the research. And her breast care consultant was so impressed by the changes in her arm after she took part in the research trial that he then paid for a local reflexologist to come on my course. He paid for her to stay in a travel over the weekend as well, so that he could then refer his breast cancer patients with lymphedema to this reflexologist.
Wow.
And that lovely participant, and I still am connected to her through social media, she's fine with it now. She doesn't have a problem with her swelling anymore. But I do need to emphasize, it isn't a cure. But it's a very lovely way of managing.
And this is exactly what I say to people.
And for body image as well.
Yes, exactly.
People don't have to get undressed.
No, exactly. And this is why, and she said this to me, because when the nurse actually thought that I only did for after breast cancer, and I said, no. She said, I was confused because I was thinking it was just for when people have had breast cancer or had the lymph node. I said, not necessarily, no. I said, you, as well as I know, that lymphedema can be caused by obviously many different things.
Yes, it can, yeah.
So people that are coming to me that with the big legs and things like that, I said, I do see more people with swelling in their legs than their arms. I said, because they just want the swelling gone. And I said, but it's not a matter of, I can't cure that, but I do help to manage it. And it also helps people. I have a lady who's been coming to me since Christmas, and she came and she said, all I want to do is to wear a different shoe. She said, I have to wear these shoes all the time. She was a big lady. And I said to her, right, I'll help you if you'll help me. I said, because this lymph needs to be moved. It needs moving. I said, and the movement will help it even more. Right. So we set this little program together. She's now lost 78 pounds in weight.
That's
and
fantastic.
her legs.
So often, RLD is a catalyst for change because it gives people hope, because you start to get rid of a little bit of the swelling and then people start to feel better and more. There's their hope. It gives them hope in what previously felt like a hopeless situation. So they feel more enabled, and because their legs feel lighter, even if you're not measuring legs, that's fine. People know from their shoes and their clothes, because they feel lighter, they then feel more enabled to regain control of their own bodies and start to walk more or just move around, small steps, no pressure. And they do it because they can.
Yes, exactly. And she was able to put trainers on to allow her to walk. And she walks like you see her now. I see her. She's a great friend of mine now. And she walks everywhere. And, she tags me in everything that she does. And, I'm so proud of her. I really am, because it's give her, like you said, it's give her that hump to do something.
It's the catalyst. It's a catalyst for change. And when she came to you, I mean, for most people, it would seem like a small thing. Oh, I just want to be able to wear different shoes. But it's not a small thing. The small things are what make the biggest difference. I can think of a lovely case of somebody who wanted to wear, it was a reflexologist in Northern Ireland, Jackie Grimley. She had a client who wanted to wear shoes to her daughter's wedding, and her swelling was so bad.
Which means so much.
She did. She did. After a few sessions of RLD, she wore the pretty shoes to her daughter's wedding. So it's the small things that make the biggest difference.
Yeah, and it's just, I'm just happy that it's changing people's lives and that there is something there for them to, you know, and it just makes a massive difference to people.
It does. I mean, reflexology is amazing. It does make a huge difference to people's lives. It's very, very difficult to prove that it's the reflexology. It's the data that you're gathering. You're measuring in the correct way, in a way that the lymphedema service recognise. That's what helps to open doors. People who take on that data collection.
I mean, the nurse actually even said to me, if there's anything you need, if you need any measuring tapes or anything, just get in touch with us, you know, anything you need. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
It just like, it's opened a little door, you know, and I just think, well, and if people all around the country can do that, then, you know, it's going to get recognised.
Absolutely.
And it needs to be recognised.
It does. I hear you. And, you know, this just takes me, you've given me several goosebump moments, but right in the beginning, when I knew this was something that could make a huge positive difference to the lives of people for whom there's very, very little available, that's when I sort of set off on this mission to do more research, teach other people to do the work, because it's lovely to have done as well. It's not unpleasant, and the results they have such a positive impact that it's life-changing. Life-changing.
And I think as well, I was at Christie's Hospital last week. My sister-in-law.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, my sister-in-law's in, and she's just had some lymph nodes removed from her groin. But I said to her, the day you come out, I've got to wait for her foot to heal because she's had a melanoma in her foot. So she's got a drain in there at the minute. So I said to her, but as soon as the drain's out and you feel up to it, I need to start this straight away. So she said, oh God, yeah. She said, I've been talking to a lady about you. Anyway, one of the nurses came to me and I said, have you got any, what do you give a patient when, because I always like to know what they get after they've had these lymph nodes removed. And it's just a basic thing that they may get lymphedema and that they will go to a lymphedema clinic. But I feel like they should have some information about us on there.
It's very difficult for them to do that, though. It's very difficult because reflexology is unregulated, and the NICE guidelines just couldn't be referring people, because then what if they go somewhere and the person say, yeah, I'm a reflexologist, but they don't do RLD or they don't understand RLD. That's bad for the people, it's so vulnerable, and bad for reflexology. Why I have the register of registered RLD reflexologists. But the Christie have been very supportive of the work. They're amazing. The work they do at the Christie for the whole of complementary therapies in cancer care is legendary.
I'm there next weekend to do some training. I'm really looking forward to that.
Which course are you doing there?
The adapting reflexology for palliative care and cancer care in a hospice setting.
Fantastic.
So I'm hoping to move in different places soon.
Yeah, well, you're obviously making a huge difference to people's lives.
I love it. I absolutely love it. When I know I've got somebody for lymph draining in, I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
And I love it because it's visual. It's so visual.
Yeah.
And you can actually see their faces at the end. You know, I've had so many ladies cry at the end of a treatment saying, wow, I can move my foot, I can do this, I can do that, I can lift my arm. I had a lady come to see me. She'd had breast cancer, but she'd not had a breast removed. She'd had a lymph node removed. And she ended up with a lump under her arm.
Yeah, it's quite common.
And for 3 years, she'd walked about with her arm because she couldn't put it down.
Yeah.
And she only had one session and it completely went. One session.
So one of the ladies in my first small study, she had a pocket under her arm that she called my tennis ball. And like that, because that's what it felt like. And it meant that she had referred pain in her neck and shoulder because of that. And at the end of it, it was all gone. All gone. And I've had some case studies like that. I had one, it was a lovely comment. It was something like, it used to feel like a suitcase under my arm, but now it feels like a clutch bag. You know,
I've had lots of different ones. I mean, I've had a lady that had breast cancer, and she had a pocket of fluid on her back.
Yes.
So could never wear a t-shirt because she said, I look like the Hunchback of Notre Dame here. Oh. So, but then I did a treatment for her, and then the following day she messaged me and said, I can't believe how much it's gone down. I mean, it's completely not there now after her sessions. It's completely gone. And she said, you changed my life.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
It makes this just the most rewarding job in the world.
100%.
And for something that feels so simple, and to have that improvement in self-confidence, because as the swelling starts to go down, people's self-confidence starts to improve, and they become more enabled, more inclined to engage with things. Like the lovely one in my first study who joined a gym and started doing Zumba, and she hadn't liked to do that before, because she felt so self-conscious of all the swelling. And in fact, that joining the gym and doing Zumba would help to sustain the results.
Yeah, exactly.
And for people who've been told, well, there's nothing that can be done about this, we'll measure you, wear this compression garment, do these exercises, we'll see you in a year's time. There's that mindset sinks in, oh, I've just got to live with this.
Nothing that you can do.
There's nothing that can be done. So when you find something as pleasant as RLD, you know, reflexology lymph drainage, that can be done just for taking your shoes and socks off, that makes a difference, then that gives them hope. And people don't need to keep coming all the time, but to know you're there and to know they can come back and you can help them with that. And there are thousands of people all over the world now that have joined the training and are on the RLD register.
It's fantastic, it really is. And I have people that have been coming to me with swelling, different kinds, and they'll say, oh, I'm going on holiday and my feet always swell on the plane, and so what if I come to you the day before I go, and then they're messaging me on the holiday saying, look at my feet, they didn't swell, and it's just nice. I just love it. I really do. It's just made such a difference in my life as well, knowing that I can help some people.
Yes, it's just so rewarding, isn't it?
Very much
and you
so.
Meet such lovely clients.
Oh, yeah. Unbelievable.
I have no words for it.
No, exactly. And people say to me, and I say to them, I wished I'd done this years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm not retiring. I've got 10 years and I keep saying I'm not retiring. No way. No.
No, I feel like that too, because it feels like there's still so much work to be done around this, and teaching other people so that it's done properly, so that the people understand it, and they go on the register to the sign of quality assurance. And
but I love it. Can't thank you enough for teaching it me.
Well, Wendy, you've embraced it, and you've fully grabbed the bull by the horns, and you've carried on with the data collecting, which is...
That is my biggest tip to everybody, is to record it all, because when I see it in black and white, and I like it when they come to me and they've been to the lymphedema clinic, because I can't wait for them to go back. I know. Because they will see a massive difference. But recording the data is the most important thing.
It is.
It really is.
I agree. And I know it feels...
The chart, what you sent me, I still use that chart.
that
I just
chart.
changed the name on everyone.
Yes, that's exactly why I share it. So I know it's not for everyone, but I had to learn to use Excel and try and understand the maths and to create that so that my original data sets weren't flawed, because there was a huge margin for error had I not done it properly.
Yeah, it has to be done
and
right.
I had it all tried, tested, double checked and verified against the system that the lymphoedema service where I did my training in the measuring, she checked it all for me. So it is tried and tested and verified.
And I was like, I use that every single time.
Yeah.
I just, and then I had to then go on YouTube to learn how to make a graph.
That's
what do I do?
Brilliant. But you won't forget that, because you had to learn how to do that yourself.
Yeah. So now I will say to somebody when they come in, look, if you're going to stick with me, we will do a graph and I'll show you each week. I said, sometimes you may get the odd little, it's coming back up again, but it will never go back to where it was. So, and they're like, wow. So, but when I did this graph, it kind of like, when I did the very first one and I saw the baseline up here and then it was down here and I thought, wow. And that's when it hits you how good it is.
Yeah, it is.
It really is.
Yeah, because it's easy to have a reflexology treatment or an RLD treatment, think, oh yeah, I feel really nice after that. I feel really good. Yeah, I always feel better after that. But to actually see the measurable change is what will open doors.
Of course it is.
A couple of questions, Wendy, just for the sake of anyone who's listening. What do you have a favourite tape measure that you use? Are you using a tension one or?
I'm using, it's in my clinic, it's just your everyday, like a sewing tape.
Well done.
I used to have one that, I got one that come over the top and slot in.
Yes.
But I didn't like that one. I like to see where, because I use the tip of the tape.
Yeah.
I know the metal part and I know where I'm measuring from every single time.
Yeah.
I use a sensitive eyeliner.
Yes, that's what I use.
For marking. And then I just use it's a makeup remover, a gentle Clinique makeup remover to remove, afterwards.
Yes. Yeah. Fantastic.
The tape, it's just an ordinary sewing tape.
Yeah. Well done for embracing and taking the learning and running with it and making a difference to so many people's lives. It's fantastic. I really.
It's all down to you, Sally.
No, well, you had to sign up to that. When people say that, I think, no, you had to sign up to that and do the work, put in the work, teach yourself how to do a graph. And, these are new skills. They're new skills. Later in life.
For me, it's the best tool in my reflexology box. 100%, completely changed my treatment. It's completely changed it, because I'll always add it in now as well. Even if someone hasn't come with that, somebody's come with a bit of arthritis, fibromyalgia. I use it in many, many different ways now. So I know that I know how good it is. So if anybody has got any inflammation going on, that will help as well. As well as but it is the best tool in my box, 100%. I would now say that my clinic is 70% RLD.
Wow.
70%.
So that's absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. It sounds to me like you're a bit like me with that. It's just for every client you see, it's just a question of how much RLD you include, whether it's just all RLD whether it's just a bit, and
Yeah.
the rest is kind of incidental. That's
Yes,
how I
yeah.
practice now. But
Yeah,
it's just gone in that direction for me.
yeah. I think that'll be
How-
me eventually.
Something that other people might also be interested in. I mean, I watched your social media posts as you were growing your RLD work, which was a joy to watch.
Yeah.
But I just wondered if you'd like to share with anyone how you attract your clients, because how you've seen 6 or 7, did you say today? Was it 7 today?
Yes, 7 today.
7
Yeah.
clients today. How many would you say in a week?
5 RLD.
5 of them were
in a week.
RLD, were they?
Yeah,
5 were.
yeah.
Oh,
5 were RLD.
Yeah.
I would say since I started posting social media as well, because I always ask the client, can I take pictures before and after?
Yeah.
And can I use them for social media?
Yeah.
They all say yes. They won't notice my feet, will they? And I'm like, no, nobody will notice your feet. You've not got your name on your toe. So first, I love pictures because pictures say 1,000 words.
Yeah, they do, yeah.
So I do that, and then, but I would say on average, I'm doing about 25 people a week now. 25 people a week. Some weeks it can be 32, but there's only like so many hours in a day that you can, but yeah, but I find that RLD, I could do 10 RLD in a day.
Yeah.
It's different,
Yes,
because I don't know why, but I feel that it's different doing RLD, and I could continue to do it all day long, But yeah, but for social media wise, I always like to post a before and after picture.
Yeah.
I just use you can use Canva to do it, and I always make sure that the same foot in the same position. That's something that I've learned.
Yes, it's not.
As yeah. So you want the same foot in the same position, with a photograph of each.
Yeah.
And I always try to pick out something that's quite obvious that will have gone afterwards.
Yes.
Like when they come in with the shoes on and they've got that dint.
Yeah.
That's good to show that it's gone.
Yeah.
And that there's no dint there anymore.
Yeah.
Because you can see it, packing over.
You can, yeah. And it's painful for people. That's very uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yes, it is. So social media wise, I just do some before and after pictures. I look up about the lymphatic system. I'm reading up on things all the time, and as we know, obviously we have the same benefits from it as MLD.
Yeah, well,
so,
yes.
So I pick up lots of things everywhere and just make my own post for it.
Yeah, well done. Yeah, I mean, I'm aware of this sort of thing. I just thought, and you've done a particularly good job of getting it out there, because it's people's positive experiences.
Yeah.
That literally speaks volumes in this case, doesn't it? It speaks volumes.
Yeah, I'm not the one that's just saying, oh, it is good. I'm showing people it's this good.
Yeah.
And that's the big difference. Like I said, a picture speaks volumes, and you can see that they're not the same foot and they're not the same legs,
No. And I think
hundreds out there. I could put hundreds out there.
Yeah, and more people now are using social media. I think Instagram is becoming more, maybe more popular than Facebook.
Yeah, I've only just started with Instagram, and I was like, how does it work? I mean, I have my own Facebook page, obviously, but my Instagram, I was like, is it more for the younger ones? But I get a lot of appointments through it. Yeah.
I think a lot of people, it's surprising how much contact and connection there is through Instagram. People have contacted me because
social media is it's massive now, and I would say now the majority is word of mouth. It is word of mouth. And when I say to people when they come in, you know, like, how have you heard about me? And they'll say, oh, such a body's friend has been, and she's had some lymph draining with you. And I'm like,
Yeah.
and one lady that came on Monday, and she said, is it going to hurt? I said, not at all. I said, you're going to absolutely love this.
Yeah.
So she said, Emma. So I said, yeah. I said, you're going to love it. She went, so where does the water go? And like, do you drain it with needles? And I'm like, no, God, no.
Oh.
She didn't have a clue, but loved it.
Yeah.
And was already booked like 8 sessions in, you know.
That's the
so
way. That is the
yeah.
way. Committing to a course of treatments, I think, also helps. And also by seeing, you don't need to do this obviously with clients, but if you see somebody at the same time of day, then they know that it's not the fluctuations in their swelling they might expect. And if the weather's hot, that's something else that can cause the lymphedema to be worse.
Yeah, of course it is.
But I feel so proud of what you're doing. It gives
And
me
it's nice
so
as
much
well.
pleasure.
Yeah, and I get so many nice reviews, and I never say to people, you know, somebody will say to me, I had a client yesterday, and she was saying about, I was reading a review a lady had done. I said, I know. I said, they're amazing reviews. I said, you know, they work wonders for you as well. And she got home last night and wrote this huge review and said, I've done your review, but I don't know what to do with it.
Oh,
So nice. I said, you don't have to do it, but it does help if they do a review as well.
of course
you know,
it does. Of course.
Because, I mean, I have one lady that's wrote that I have completely changed her life. You know, when you think, wow, it's fab, Sally. It's the best thing I've ever done.
Oh, Wendy, you just keep up the great work, and you know, maybe eventually you might be able to collaborate with some other RLDers in the future if it comes to the local service sending too many people, you know, for you to physically manage. It's always, right from the beginning, I've been a great believer in collaborating with others, because we can do so much more, can't we, than just one person on their own.
There's thousands and thousands of people out there that need it, you know. So I'd be grateful of someone saying to me, oh, listen, you know, I can do RLD as well, so do this together. And
the data is, you know, it seems from what you're saying that is the key to what's opening the doors.
100%, it really is, because if they can see it in black and white, you know, and like I said, I like it once they've been to lymphedema clinic, because they've already done the measurements. So when they remeasure and they see this graph, then they're like, wow. And they know that I'm measuring exactly how they're measuring. And they do. And she told me, she said, it's exactly what we do.
So that therefore the data that you get from that is valid. And because they're comparing on a like for like, and they'll have the records of their client the last time or their patient the last time they saw them, and then they can see the change. And if the only thing that's changed is a course of RLD, then and no doubt your graphs are following that sort of pattern that we saw in research, where people get the biggest loss the first time, and then subsequent treatments consolidate those losses.
Another tip as well is, I find that I always involve the client. I always give them my clipboard and say, right, I want you to write, you know, the numbers down for me, so that they can see, you know, I can't see any numbers. I'm not making these numbers up.
No.
And I like them going, wow. You know, on the second time, I'm like, yes.
It's much better to make it interactive in that way and work together, as you say, to involve them, and it's much easier for you, rather than fiddling about with the tape, putting that down, twisting around like this, trying to reach your clipboard. That is a brilliant thing to do. People
so I
like to be part
them.
of it.
And I would say, I only ask you to do one thing, and that's just to write some numbers down for me. So, and it's amazing, and I love it. I can't express how much I love it.
Oh, I'm just so pleased. You've given me goosebumps several times. You know, it's all the work you're doing, the drive you've got behind this, the determination to get the data, to do the work, to help as many people as you possibly can. That just resonates with me. Because that's
if
what
anybody hasn't done the course, they need to do the course.
No, I'm not even saying it for that reason. I just
wow. When I first did it, I just did it because I'd seen it and I'd read about this RLD and I thought, I'd love to know what this is. And then when I saw your course, I thought, I'm doing this. But then when I'd done it and I did my case study, I was like, oh my God, this is unreal. And it blew me away. After my first case study, it blew me away.
Yeah.
But I didn't use it as much as I didn't advertise the fact that I was a reflex lymph draining practitioner.
Yeah.
And then I actually saw somebody one day who had lymphoedema, and I just thought, this is where I need to be doing this RLD. And I said, I've got this, you know, this treatment. And she said, yeah, whatever. So I said, I'm going to do some measurements. And that was it then. I just thought, wow, I need to keep doing this.
Yeah.
And so now I advertise RLD more than my reflexology.
Yeah.
Because people know what reflexology is.
Yeah.
Majority of people do, but people don't know what RLD does and the difference it can make. So
I know you're doing a brilliant job, Wendy. I'm just so pleased. Anyway, is there anything else you'd like to say to anybody before I stop the recording?
No, I'm fine. Just everybody just needs to do RLD.
And anyone who's done the RLD, gather the data. Don't be afraid of it.
Yeah, don't be afraid of the data. I was at first, and I was wondering, have I done that measurement right?
Yeah.
You know, and you do at first, I suppose.
Yeah.
You know, did I pull the tape to that part? And, you know, and now it just comes, it's second nature now. And that's why I won't change my tape. So if my tape ever breaks, I'd be like,
well, yeah, I mean, there are lots of different types of tape measures, and you'd think a tape measure is a tape measure, but it's not the case. I've got favourite as well, which I like to use. Yeah.
And I've actually got some lymphedema ladies that have been in before I was involved with the clinic. And they're like, I brought you this, and it was a little key ring with a round tape on it, you know, like a proper.
I know the one.
Use it, and I'm like, right, thank you.
Is it like that?
That one, exact one. Yeah, that's the exact one. But at the end came off once, and I was like, oh, yes. So
can't risk that. Can't risk that. No. Anyway, thank you, Wendy. And I'm just going to switch the recording off, but thank you for sharing with the RLD community your work. And, you know, brilliant out there. 70% of your clients having RLD is absolutely wonderful, especially as you're seeing so many people a week.
Yes,
brilliant.
I know.
It's fair play to you. Fair play.
Yes, thank you, Sally.
So thank you. I'm just going to switch the recording off.